no idea what's going on.
There was the first.
What did you
Did you
think?
upload the first one already?
No, I haven't done it. I'll do it later. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Hey, bro.
What do you think? What do you think of this one?
Well, it was more of a
Backstory.
growth, character growth episode.
Yeah.
Character development.
Mm.
Yeah.
They all seem to be struggling with some sort of money issue, right?
Yeah, but considering how other shows seem to do it compared to this show,
Yeah.
There are a lot of other shows which have a similar idea, but then they do like a flashback sequence.
Oh,
Where this one was definitely no flashback. They chose to leave
oh yeah, the
in their own
majority.
free will.
Yes, majority leave. But then
they live out again
And
where
they
they
struggle.
were. They struggle and it's really hard.
and then they want to go back in.
Then they decide to go back.
How ironic, huh?
Do you think this show is like a social commentary on something? It feels like it.
It's trying
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
Like the capitalism or something, you know.
I think Parasite definitely.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a-
Parasite. I mean, all these Korean shows seem to be trying to
pick up on something.
tackle some, you know,
I'd
social
like to-
issues.
I'd like to think so. I don't think this is. Maybe it's because Parasite looked at the class
Yeah,
and the haves and the have-nots, the poverty juxtaposed by the rich, whereas this is people who are desperate, but they're not all. They don't all come from the same reason, which makes them desperate. So you've got that dude Sang-woo, who's the businessman, business at SNU, but he got caught. It was fraud and forgery and embezzlement. The main guy, Gi-hun, seems like it's gambling just from the fact that we saw him gamble with his mate.
Yes.
Yeah, he's gambled
Then
so
you've got,
much.
I don't know, and that woman looks like she used money to try to get her parents out of North Korea to join her in South Korea. But she's ruthless though.
Yeah.
And then poor guy Ali.
Oh yeah.
It's because he's been working pretty much under slave labor conditions because he's working but not getting paid. So I don't think it's the same because they cross the different wealth divide. Oh yeah, and that gangster dude.
Oh yeah.
It's got to do with some casino in Philippines and he killed someone and he owes his boss money. So it's like different issues which bring them to a point of they need money.
Yeah, so it's like they all need money, but in different ways. So
yeah, and they're not all.
At least we see how they develop through there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not all poor and not having educational or life opportunities because. You know, the guy went to Seoul University and did business, and it seems pretty prestigious.
Yeah.
But clearly, he's made some bad choices in his life, and yeah. So,
but then it's still about this wealth inequality, right? Like because
usually wealth inequality is got to do with it. You can't break out of the poverty cycle.
Well, they can't, right? That's why they play the
well,
game.
no,
this
the
one
guy
seems to be more for desperation.
But then the guy who went to Seoul University, the neighbor goes, "Oh, you're the pride of this neighborhood," and it seems like it's the equivalent of Redfern maybe or Mount Druitt. I'm so sorry if you come from these areas, but that's the. But he managed to make it. So, but yet he still made decisions of, embezzling money and he used his mum's house and shop as collateral. So. That's got nothing to do with
it's not poor technically.
It's not poor. And the gangster dude,
until you saw his phone where it says like your thing is overdue.
And same with the gangster guy to be to be some sort of, okay, he's not head honcho, but clearly he had some pulling power because he goes, oh, you know, the other guy referred to him as boss. He must have been successful in criminal activity, but clearly he's done something in terms of loyalty or broken rules, which sees him punished.
Yeah.
I still don't like the chick. And
Maybe
then there's
North Korea.
and then there's 00. Then there's player one, who all we know is just a brain tumor, and to him it's more like, I've got nothing else for me.
Health issue.
Considering that I watched a few more episodes, he holds a secret.
001.
Yeah,
that's what I suspected.
He's
from the
holding
beginning.
an even bigger secret that you wouldn't expect.
Is it?
Well, I didn't expect it. I think others would, but
didn't
after watching later episodes afterwards, it's like,
well, I think I already told you my theory.
Oh, what's your theory?
I told you guys yesterday, because it's very interesting where whoever's setting this game up doesn't have a view of saying, if you've made bad choices or life has thrown you into bad circumstances, you deserve to be eliminated. But there's some point, there's a reward, there's a monetary reward of whoever wins gets to share in whatever pot ends up at the end, depending on how many people are killed. So
that means they should work together, so more people live at the end.
However, so to me, it's like there doesn't seem to be an 100% malevolent view of, I just want all these people killed, but because there is some reward at the end, and it's not a reward of you just get to live, they actually get some benefit, but there's some sort of voyeuristic, sadistic nature of, if you lose the game, you get killed. So so my thinking is maybe 001 has got something to do with the setup, or maybe he's the head honcho and he gets to play the game himself. He's got nothing to lose. He doesn't need money if he's going to die.
Oh yeah, that's true. He's done.
Why the heck?
Fun, isn't it?
He's there. Yeah, he's just there for fun.
So that's a really good series. That's a really good theory.
So I can imagine him setting the whole thing up.
Oh.
Just to have fun in his last days, because it's just weird to just randomly ask people to come play childhood games for nostalgia, and he's an old guy, right? So he goes, "Ooh, I can get desperate people to play these games with me."
Well, Jeff has seen everything, so
and considering he actually did convince Jihoon to come back.
Oh, did he convince him?
Oh,
yeah. That's why they were like
chatting. They were chatting.
One-on-one.
They were chatting in the
They were chatting, but he just said, "Oh, I've decided to go back." But I didn't.
For the reasons is what Jihoon is also thinking at the same time.
Apparently, this episode revealed some death.
Oh yeah. Oh, here it is. Oh,
well, four shadows.
Oh.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I have no idea what it's talking about.
I like the inclusion of the police officer who's hunting down his missing brother, and in your head you're like, betcha his missing brother was one of those killed. Episode 2 secret, one of the biggest deaths in.
Oh, actually, I pretty sure I shouldn't read this, because this may actually reveal the finale.
This is a new.
This is just saying that the episode that you saw had a clue about.
Yeah. But considering that I already watched ahead, and now I see a bit more clues in episode 2, which kind of reveals more. Like I should have paid more attention the first time around.
Yeah, there is some clues. You made a good point about the policeman. So his brother is. You reckon his brother's killed? You reckon already?
I think so, because if he was, because you know how they let everyone out.
Yeah.
If they let everyone out, then surely his brother would have returned home by then.
Enter the apartment.
Oh.
Yeah, into the assumption. Yeah, but he said, "Oh, he's been gone a whole week," and on the same morning when he goes and checks out his brother's apartment, he, walks by the front desk and sees this, what was it,
God.
crazy hobo raving and ranting about doing something. Yeah, and then he sees the card, and when he sees the card at his brother's place, that's when it clicks. So, yeah.
Yep. So
And it was
episode
so
3 is will develop more on the police officer as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it was quite freaky how the opening sequence is they're getting rid of the bodies, right? But there was someone who was still alive, and the guy just went, okay, fingers in, and let me just nail this shut.
Oh.
Yeah, that part I found a bit confusing, since that was like the beginning part of the show episode.
Someone was alive in that.
Why was that confusing? Because that's like a continuation of, here are the workers from the games. Clearly they've got 200 bodies. What are they doing? So it looks like they've got this big furnace cremation incinerator. They've got the bodies in the boxes and then in they go. Yeah, and some of them are still alive because clearly the gunshots weren't 100% effective in killing them. Like that first guy who clung onto Gi-hun's leg. So, some of the shots weren't fatal, clearly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they survived, one of them. I don't know.
Well, they're not going to survive the fire.
Oh yeah, they're going to survive the fire.
Basically.
Wow, look at this.
Oh yeah, sure,
2 billion minutes.
Wow.
I know. The thing for what they said, the whole series effectively estimated $900 billion worth in profit.
Yeah, 900 million, see? The
900
streamer
million.
estimated 900 million.
Wow. Geez, remember that
900
return?
million, yeah.
It was production cost of 21.4, was that right?
21.4 or something. It was 20
Yeah,
something.
and how much return is that? That's like
30 times.
30 times. So that's 3,000% return.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a humongous like cash cow from Netflix.
Wow. Imagine having a stake in that.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy how popular Squid Game has gotten. Like people wait in line for like the pop-ups in France, as we saw yesterday, to play kids games.
And they wait. A kid game.
Yeah.
Well, actually, kids do play it, see?
Yeah,
but they're causing fights on school playgrounds.
Real life.
Yeah. Because the games that are played are kids games, children's games.
Yeah.
I remember, even we had red light, green light, remember?
I do remember that.
And a version and a variation of that was what's the time, Mr. Wolf? Which was a lot more predictable than red light, green light.
Yeah.
Ooh, Squid Game. Every detail missed by non-Korean speaking viewers.
Oh.
Yeah, because the translation isn't exactly correct.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, there were a couple of times where it was when Ali was speaking, when he answered the phone, I go, that's not Hindi, because he goes, he does the Muslim greeting. So I thought, isn't he speaking not Hindi then? So I'm not sure. I don't speak Hindi or Urdu or Punjabi or Bengali. But I was going, it's not necessarily Hindi. There's so many languages in that India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh region. I'm not sure. And then there are a couple of times where it goes foreboding music. Go, if there is, I can't hear it. So there are just a couple of odd moments where I go, huh? That doesn't make sense.
Then I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. But he did speak Korean.
I'm not a translation expert, so I wouldn't be able to say anything with that.
Why the old man twist spoils Gi-hun's?
Oh, you just spoiled it.
What?
Oh,
This is a headline. I'm not even clicking.
just stop watching. Stop looking at the headlines.
Council advises parents not let their kids watch Squid Game.
Yeah. Well, even
it's not for
the
kids.
newspaper here.
It's not for young kids, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, of course not. Yeah,
It's
with
R-rated.
the bullying, clearly not.
Yeah.
A council in the south of England, and they do not know their. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, look, even that, if you scroll back up to that red light, green. Yeah, look at her hair. It's got the symbol, the circle, triangle, square.
Yeah.
Did we see that in the episodes? I couldn't see
Episode
it.
1, yeah.
The circles, triangle, and squares. Yeah, that's the Lego.
On her head, yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing that's printed on the business card and on those guards' masks.
Like it does seem like the square is like the managers in some way.
Oh, the square one. Oh, yeah.
And the triangles are like the militia.
Soldiers.
Yeah, soldiers.
The guns. And then the circle is just normal guys, I guess.
891, eh?
But that was 7 days ago. It's still going.
Still going up.
Still going strong.
Yeah.
Wow, there's so many. Plus this, what's this 1980s?
Podcast.
Oh, this is interesting.
That's if they did it in
if they did it in the 80s, who could play
Michael Keaton? That's a good boy band.
How Squid Game stays a secret despite so many people going missing. Despite an estimated death toll in the thousands, at least one survivor from each game, Squid Game remains a secret. How is that possible? Exactly.
Yeah, that's not exactly possible.
However,
that's a good point.
If it would only work if they were people who were either they had no contact.
Off the radar,
if you had family members like parents, spouses, children, clearly they would raise an alarm. But if you were like a prostitute from a different
country, that's what they were going at the beginning as well, when they were like saying people will notice if they're gone. Like, people will track the phones, that they'll notice that a lot of people are gone. People won't know.
Yeah, I'm surprised the police didn't say people have been missing or anything, right? Yeah, that was a bit of a
So even though they did say that an alarm could be raised because there are many people missing, apparently the police still do not know. But now that police guy does know.
Oh, one of them, the young. He's curious. Yeah, he's going to do something.
Good on him.
Yeah, because it was the brother.
Yeah, so he's got, unfortunately, conflict of interest, because if it's got to do with your brother, then shouldn't a different detective be taking over the case? So he's got personal.
Yeah, but effectively, he's not doing it for the police. He's doing it
for himself.
Yeah, for himself and his curiosity. So it's not like he was assigned the case. He just took it up on himself.
Exactly. So it was originally conceived as a movie. I didn't know that. But Netflix ordered its expansion into a series.
Oh, okay.
So maybe Netflix saw the potential.
Maybe,
Bottom line, more money.
Yeah, over 9 hours.
Because they only paid 20 million for it.
Yeah, budget.
21.4 million, yes.
Yeah.
They made like 900 million.
Actually, that's more than 30 times. That's actually 50 times.
Jeez.
Oh, close. 40 to 50. Wow, there's so much about this. Oh, Squid Game ending really upset LeBron James.
Even the basketball player watched.
LeBron James.
Real life Squid Game happened in Abu Dhabi. The massive success leads to a real life version of the show happening with.
I mentioned that yesterday.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi has one. Several US states have one. Australia's planning one.
Wow.
And South Korea is also doing one. They sold tickets for it.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, obviously,
yes, all minus the motor.
Minus the killing, okay.
Of course, minus the killing. They can't stop the killing for obvious reasons.
I don't like some of these headlines because it's revealing stuff I don't.
I know, right? The headlines.
Then stop looking at the headlines.
And I knew better than to read it out loud because I got chastised by John O. Rightly. So I'm not reading them out loud. But I'm like,
Yeah, stop looking at the headlines.
Well, see, that's why I don't like the fact that some shows release every episode in a big bang. I prefer if they came out 1 week at a time, Because the
Taika Waititi one that I mentioned.
Oh, so this one came out 9 together.
If you look up the Taika Waititi one I mentioned.
What?
Which is why
What? Where?
there's
Down.
Oh.
You're there.
Okay.
which is why there's a beauty in old-fashioned
Yeah, there's a beauty in that because you get to
programming
talk
of-
about it, you get to speculate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
And as
You
well,
have
I
it
think
one
we
at a
also should
time.
be doing reviews without looking at too much of other people's headlines. So it's more of our thoughts on it instead of looking and rating other people's thoughts.
Yeah.
Mm.
So looking at all this sometimes could be a hindrance.
It could influence you. It could influence you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that might be bad. That's why when I do a review myself, I don't look at other people's ratings until like the very end. Unless it's something which is not really related or like bits and pieces which are part of.
Ooh, the origins of the show's terrifying doll. That looks fun to look at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Red light, green light game.
So we don't necessarily have to look at these.
No. I like, you know how yesterday I said, well, there's a diverse bunch of male characters. Why isn't there for female? At least with 212, and there were just a couple of other women inside the game. I went, oh, good. Some are older, and you know they're different. So that was good.
But unfortunately, we don't look at them for too often.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if I haven't seen subsequent episodes, but so it's a shame if they don't get a bigger screen time. But at least,
unfortunately, not.
Thanks. Don't need to tell me.
No, I think there is one or two that gets a bit more time.
Oh, yeah. I said, well, 212 was interesting because she was the one that first begged to stop the game, but then she voted to continue. Go, what the hell's wrong?
She changed her mind.
Oh no, I know exactly what's wrong.
So effectively, the people that they revolve around mostly is 456,
199,
199, 67,
67, 101.
101 didn't really make it apparently. 001 made it, and 218.
Well, 101 got big airtime this episode. I don't know. I don't care, and I'm talking about episodes I haven't seen, but at least this one is hinting that we're on the right track in who we're focusing on. It's still 456. It's still Sung Woo. I keep forgetting his number. Still 67. At the moment, it's 101, the gangster dude, and 199. And 212 got a bit of airplay, but yeah. And I found it very interesting where Sung Woo could say clause 3 is if all the players agree to terminate the game, but then they switch it from all players, which means like a jury has to be a unanimous decision. What they end up doing goes, oh, let's put it to the vote, and if majority agrees. So I'm like, okay, well, if you decide to change the clause and the masked guard said okay, then I guess it's okay. And then I think
they predicted they'll be coming back.
And then of course they predicted that, because they said, oh yes, here's the money, because they didn't show how much money. When people could visualize the money, clearly that would have swayed it, especially that you could see it when people are voting, and then they look back at the big clear piggy bank with the cash in it. They're like, oh. So in my head I was going, clearly everyone has a price, even a price on their life.
Yeah, but effectively now I kind of disagree with the whole Hunger Games like matchup. Because I was pointed out that the Squid Game isn't a battle royale, and effectively anyone who survives the entire 6 rounds will get a catch prize.
Exactly. There's not. Whereas Hunger Games, there's only one winner.
Yeah, so battle royale. Yeah.
It just says whoever wins all 6 games. That doesn't mean that there's only one. Just like how 456.
So it would have been
saved by the 2 guys.
Yeah.
You can form an alliance where like we're all going to help each other and we'll split whatever the pot is. So there's probably a bigger incentive for you to form an alliance here, because there's no game rule where it
they should work together, and if they work together, more people would have survived.
And unlike Hunger Games, where each district were forced to send 2 tributes out, these people had the choice of not joining in the game. So I can see, just like any analogy, nothing's going to be perfect. So yes, there are those differences, but in terms of the essence and the spirit of, you do some tasks and you can be killed.
That's practically the
boil down. They both hit that simple boil down.
You're right about that one.
But most of the other differences are quite different that it doesn't really match.
You're right about the teamwork. So that you'll see a bit of teamwork in the next few episodes.
But they definitely should be teaming up more. More people would have survived. Like
and I thought it was so dumb.
If someone is professional in one sort of thing, they could just like give like the clues on how to help out everyone else to get past the game.
Well, I think you showed us the trailer before we watched the first episode, because I don't think I watched the trailer by myself. And they did show the clip of them playing red light, green light. In my head, I'm thinking, when you saw the first guy getting killed because he moved, why the hell do you think you could run away back to the door and not get killed? What sort of idiotic logic is that? If you saw him being killed because he moved, you'd stay as still as you possibly can.
And a lot of people did it.
Yes.
They got rid of 255 people just like that.
Yeah, in the one day, that's like more than half the people gone. Like, you saw the counter go down, and I was going, 300, and went, 200. That's terrible. And there's like 201 left. Like, that's even worse.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing. 201.
Oh, perfect for the vote, right?
For the vote, because it's an odd number. So
when it comes down to the old man who was 001, it's practically his choice.
That's true. Oh, interesting. He chose not to play.
And then we'll figure out more about the old man later.
I swear there's something with the old man. Now that you keep mentioning, I feel like I'm somewhat right with my theory.
I can't either confirm or deny it.
You haven't seen it yet.
Well, I do know.
You don't have to confirm or deny. I haven't seen it, but my theory is he's got nothing to lose. He's an old man. You know?
Exactly.
Yep.
But you know when they did the voting, what did you guys think that would happen? Yes, they'll go through, or no, they'll leave?
That's a very good question, Jeff.
What did you initially think?
Well, initially I thought that he would say no, but then looking back at us, he could have just said yes, and everyone would have to keep playing. But then we went to the character growth.
How? Here we go. Why? Because
you go.
If he is the mastermind, I actually think that it's very smart, instead of forcing the game on.
Yep, I didn't think we should look through this article because this might actually spoil it.
Yeah. Without looking at the article, my thinking is, if my theory is
just don't look at articles for now. Just don't look at them.
If my theory is correct, that he's got to do, or he is the ultimate mastermind, I think it's even more sadistic that he stops the game, because remember when the guard says, "Thank you for voting," and people who wanted to continue clearly were very angry and frustrated, but the guard did say, your opportunity has, the door of opportunity has not closed. So there's a hint of there is some way that they could return. And I think this really weeds out that desperation, because when they go out into the real world, all those elements which affect why they're so desperate comes back to their forefront, and they're like, yeah, I'm desperate for money again, regardless of however they voted inside.
Yeah.
I think that just reinforces the desperation.
Yeah. So desperation is the key for this. It's not actually the structural, how high you are or how rich you are thing. It's the actual desperation.
And you could see the difference even with, because Ali and Sungwoo were both kicked out at the same spot, and poor Ali had no money
and
had to walk home. This guy, even though he's what was it, 6 billion won mistake, he still had some money, and his apartment looked pretty nice compared to all the other people's living quarters. So that's telling you something about socioeconomic difference.
But effectively, they're still practically poor.
Yeah, they may look okay, but clearly they're in debt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even the step.
His ex-wife, how she goes, no, I really am broke. He goes, all my money is from my husband.
Yeah,
she's broke too.
So they're practically broke too. Yeah. And they look more well off than most of the others.
Yeah. I must admit, I think I personally like Sungwoo's place than their place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, his apartment. It's interesting you mentioned about that vote thing where the old man voted to leave, because maybe that filters out the people who don't want to return. So you leave, or so the people who want to come back will come, and it will be more competitive, right?
Maybe because the people who come, they now know the rules, and so there's no excuse, and they're clearly the more desperate ones, because the people who aren't so desperate, they're like, I'm leaving, I'm not coming back, thank you very much.
They should be more desperate now, yes.
It's more desperate. Makes them more desperate.
But then they should be working more together as well.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Like if they don't, most of them will die.
Alliances.
But clearly most people, like most people who read terms and conditions for downloaded apps that are too long, and we just scroll to the bottom, go accept anyway. Clearly Sungwoo has actually read them, because they go, because the guard quotes back, he goes, consent, sign consent form clause blah 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 says this, and so clearly these guys must have signed something that they should have read, not that if I was in their shoes, I may or may not have read it either. But clearly Sungwoo goes, I'm signing something here, and he has read it and actually remembered it. So I think that, yes, like apps and real life, there are certain things that are hidden in the fine print terms and conditions, but I think it seems like everything was hidden in fine print, and the crux of the rules weren't actually communicated well. So it's a bit of a both are, been in the wrong.
Yep. They read your terms and conditions.
I do remember someone I don't know what her background is, but I remember going, everything she would download and look at, she goes, I read everything. I go, it depends on how long it is. Yeah. Because sometimes you're downloading the app because you need it now. Do you have that time now to read through everything? And then on the flip side,
especially if those things are like pages long.
Yeah, exactly right.
So it's terms and conditions and privacy policy.
Yep.
So you have to read two things. Well, terms and conditions is particularly for the app itself. The privacy policy is what rights you give the app for agreeing to it.
Yeah.
Are there any more comments we'd like to make about the old man, player 001, choosing X, or are we allowed to read that now or not?
No. I think that's a spoiler one.
Yeah, that's definitely a spoiler.
Oh, is it a spoiler article?
Because the whole problem with this is, as I said, it releases in a big bang. So any article that you read can potentially spoil the ending.
Yeah, so you mean that the person who's actually written that article has written it in light of having seen every single episode?
If you scroll down a bit, it actually says spoiler alert. So.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, thank you. Thanks for alert. Then
and since you haven't watched it either, Marcus.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if I'm gonna actually watch it.
Yeah, I was exactly like that. I was just telling these kids, I was going, the only thing I said was, oh, I was thinking about Squid Game today, and then Jeff in his excitement sort of went, oh, really? And
Jeff has seen it already, but he's still watching it again.
Yeah, so excited. Yeah.
And then I went, Jeff, calm down, calm the farm. I wasn't thinking about the content and mulling over it. I was thinking about whether I should continue watching or whether I should just cut my losses and just one episode's enough.
Yep. And at least we watched it in Korean this time instead of the really cringy English.
Oh, yeah.
It was still just as cringy because culturally, like I said, the acting style is over the top, and they do it again just in their normal language, and their facial expressions are again sometimes over the top. I'm like, here we go again. It doesn't really matter whatever language it is.
You're right. The overacting is more amplified in the original language, right? Yeah.
Yes, I find that it's more amplified in the original language, whereas the English dub has actually toned it down a little.
Yes.
So it's a little more bearable. Yes. So coming from preferring Western, European, Scandinavian type of films and shows, you watch these Asian ones, and the contrast of the nuances and the subtlety in the especially Scandi and well done European TV shows, it really adds to the drama. You doing this over the top acting just makes it look farcical and comical and really annoying.
Well, Taika Waititi doesn't think Squid Game should be watched with English dub.
This is strange. This is the first time where I go, no difference. In fact, maybe English dub, like Jeff said, makes it better, because I'm like, oh, it's worse.
For me, I thought it was worse. I think it depends on the person.
Yeah, it's a bit.
But for me, I still prefer like watching shows in its native, because it does definitely sound better and look a lot better. And things flow better. Like, as I said before, like The Wind Rises, I do love the actors who voice the characters, but they completely butcher the whole mood of this whole movie. Like John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, why did they completely kill this movie?
Yeah.
The Japanese was so far better. If it was if I gave a rating for The Wind Rises, I'd give that a 7. English version, I'd give it 3. It was
I'm
just
sorry,
bad.
I found the Korean dialogue in this episode way more whingy and complainy tone compared to the first one.
Well, effectively, that was the point. It was meant to be like they were complaining.
Hey, I just looked it up. The actual clauses, number 3 is actually if majority agrees. So it looks like Sunny got it wrong. He said all.
That's interesting, because
majority.
I don't know Korean.
Yeah.
Clearly I don't know Korean, but yeah, when you read what went, because the guard was read out clause 1, clause 2, and then all of a sudden Sung Woo came and goes clause 3 and goes, if all players agree. Yeah,
so you got it wrong.
Yeah, well, at least the subtitles.
Well, the subtitles were wrong then, because how Netflix does it, they matched it with the English dub, not with the actual Korean language, which is why they say that if you're watching it in Korean, you're not getting all the subtlety from what is said in the Korean language.
It only works if you know Korean, because if the dub is exactly the same as the English subtitles, there's no added value in having the English subtitles. While
it
having
does
the original
kind of change the feel as well. So. And since I have picked up a bit of Korean, I have noticed that there's some parts which definitely didn't match up. Because effectively, like saying like thank you, he didn't say thank you so much. He just said come over, like multiple times. But I think in English then they said like thank you so much, which is what was said in the subtitles.
I think we should be thankful that you've got the choice, because clearly if Bill much prefers English dub, but the only thing possible was subtitles, it means Netflix would have lost him as a viewer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's still a lot of older Korean shows which only have it in the Korean dub. Like Korean original.
So what's this thing about issues with botched subtitle translations?
Yeah, because they didn't exactly.
Oh.
As I said, they followed the English dub and did the subtitles.
Right. So this one is actually making the case that Squid Game may best be enjoyed by watching the dub.
Exactly, because the fact that the English dub is exactly the same as English subtitles, you only get added value if there's actually differences between English dub and English subtitles. But considering there's none,
apparently there are some Koreans which are redoing creating their own subtitle files to work with this, which is a proper translation.
Yeah, okay.
So when that comes out, I think I'll just load up that subtitle file with the show.
And watch it again.
I'll watch it again with the actual translation that the Koreans made.
Actually, I've got an interesting thought. There's a lot of swearing in this, right? I'm just wondering whether the Korean translates to exactly the
I didn't pick up any swearing because the subtitles didn't put swear words. Do you know what I mean? Remember how yesterday I gave you the example of learning swear words in French by watching French films? Even though the word they use is putain, they would actually in the English subtitles say fuck, even though it's not the literal meaning of putain, which is harlot, whore, slut. But that's not how we curse. We don't say whore, whore. We just say,
Well, they did swear.
But we didn't see any English swear words in our subtitles, so that's interesting.
Maybe they changed it a bit, yeah.
They changed it in the English translation, quickly.
Because normally if they did, they would put F and then star.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's a good point.
No, they haven't been doing that recently. It was just the full word.
Oh, yeah.
Now the
well,
is now. Oh, well, it's a good character development episode.
Yeah. It's really good.
Interesting.
So overall for the episode, what would you rate it?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna do it because I don't even know.
Because you only came in near the end. So
what did you rate episode 1 actually, Marcus? Before we move on.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you've seen it, right? What did you think?
Actually, I saw it, but I wasn't
concentrating.
I wasn't fully focused on it. So I probably need to watch it again if I.
You watch it in Korean, right? You watch it in Korean.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. What do you guys think of episode 2 then, Jono and Sean?
I'd give it a 5.5.
5.5.
So that's less than the first one?
Yeah.
Oh wait. Okay, that's less than this one.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah.
I gave the first one a 6, and I'm giving this one a 5. I think what hit it out of the park for 6 was, here's a completely new concept. You followed one guy. I did like delving into the characters, and they did well, but it just meant you lose a bit in terms of the storyline, and the only thing that kept it intriguing was the fact that they returned to the game. Of course they returned to the game. There are freaking 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And these are the main people we're following. Of course they returned to the game. Yeah. Of course 4, 5, 6, even though he was the last one to determine whether he would go back, of course he would go back to the game. But what was the only new addition to a storyline or a story arc was the police officer. So that was the only new intriguing novel thing for me.
Yep. And at least they didn't do it as like a flashback sequence, which would have made it a lot worse. Like no flashback sequences, please. And this one actually did quite well because they didn't do it like that.
I'm similar with you guys. I read it a little bit lower than the first one because it tried a lot of character development on that. But you were hoping that they could fit in a game there, but they didn't do that one. But I guess in the next few episodes, they'll catch up on the games, and then we'll pick up again, I guess. But they had to do this one to give the backstory, right?
Yeah, but considering there are 9 episodes and 6 games, we've already gone through 1 game.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. So you've got 7 episodes left for 5 games.
5 games.
Yeah.
So even if you only play 1 game for every 2 episodes, you've still got 1 extra episode. Which I bet you could be delving into 4, 5, 6 and what happens to his family, you know, and because he's got a ex-wife and daughter who are going to the US, and he's got a sick mother who needs surgery, so I'm sure there's something going on there.
Yes. And then that finance guy's mum.
Oh yes, and then that as well. Yes,
she doesn't know anything, right? It's been hidden at the
secret. Yes, but she's completely oblivious. At least,
this is so funny.
Yukun's mum is completely aware, because even when he goes, "What about the insurance? Insurance? You cancelled it." And used all our money. So at least she's aware, which is good. But being unaware, I'm like, you could lose your house and your shop. Oh my goodness. And she doesn't even know.
Yeah. Oh. And then Gian just playing along as a.
And it's very interesting because Ali tells his wife to go, I don't know where they were going, but he tells them to go. So does he have the opportunity to follow them?
Oh.
Probably if he wins the game.
Yes. Indeed.
Or survives the games, because it's not really winning the game effectively in this show, it's actually surviving.
Yeah, you either die or you come out with some money. They're the only 2. Oh, okay, no, sorry, I lie. Clause 3, you could again vote and then just decide to leave the game.
Yeah, but then you get nothing.
Yes, and then you get nothing.
I guess
but you have your life back.
Yeah, at least you won't die.
You're guaranteed your life back.
Do you reckon they'll vote again? That is a good question. Do you reckon they'll vote?
I don't think so, because voting voting and then evicting of players slows down the story arc and tension. You've already done it once, and you've got a good reason to for story development. I highly doubt they're going to do this again.
And at least they did it early instead of like midway through.
Yeah, and they did it early on when clearly people weren't aware of the rules of the game, because the guard goes, clause 1, players, you know, aren't allowed to leave the game or else they get shot, you know.
So these are people remaining are definitely wanting to stay this time, yeah.
Exactly. Well,
because
now
this episode practically like put them like directly into the game. They won't quit anymore.
Fair enough. That's a good
They'll
point.
either die or survive.
They're ready to die, these guys, literally.
It doesn't matter if
they're not going back to the home, whatever.
So unless if there's some other twist or some other rule that I don't know about, or some other reason why you're gonna stop the game, I doubt they're gonna vote to leave. But hey, then I don't know all the extenuating circumstances.
Maybe a change of character, maybe.
Maybe it's like those reality TV shows where they go, it was a Big Brother or Love Island and all this other rubbish, where they go, ooh, intruders, or people who've been, even if it's better quality ones like Lego Master or whatnot, or Master Chef, where formerly eliminated contestants come back.
Oh yeah,
you can't do that because they've all died.
Oh yeah.
But what they can do is they go inject some new players in. But then that's unfair, because
the rules.
Earlier players would have already gone through their trials by fire in previous games that these new players haven't gone through. So it would be unfair to introduce new players. It's got to be a closed system.
Yes. You make a very good point.
Are you actually sure that eliminated players cannot come back?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
With the implication from the rules, right?
Yes, but it actually, it will be a spoiler if I do say it actually does.
Oh. No, don't mention it.
Well, yeah, like I said, it follows one of three parts. You either leave because the majority has voted to leave,
Yeah.
or you keep playing and you die, or you keep playing and you win money. But like I said, there's no reason why halfway through the game master can introduce new players. I'm not saying he can't, but if I was an existing player, I'd feel a bit gypped. That's all.
Yep, no additional players.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, one thing you pick up on is that they're pretty the people who organize the games, they're pretty fair on their game, on the rules, right? They stick to it.
Well, yeah, they stick to the rules. But like I said, it's a matter of how well have you communicated them.
Yeah.
And what's your intention? You know, are you just a poor communicator? Is that why? Or have you sort of got some malicious streak where you go, oh, if I don't say anything, they'll find out, even though the cost of finding out is death. Yeah, because they weren't aware that I think, what was it? Red light, green light, how go players will be eliminated if you've moved.
Yeah.
Eliminated doesn't necessarily mean will be killed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a good one. And they repeat the rules, right? They always repeat the rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do tend to repeat the rules now and again.
Yeah.
So
and I still find that I found that, you know how at the episode 1 there were some shots where very Big Brother security voyeuristically inclined individual has just got all these screens and is just watching the games unfold. You're like, oh.
The boss.
Yeah, so clearly there's someone there, and I don't know if it's enjoyment, but I'm going to assume enjoying the massacre unfold.
So the next game is more relaxed, at least.
Oh yeah.
What was the name of the first?
Cookies.
What was the name of the what? Sorry?
What was the name of the first episode? Because I only caught the name of
Red light, green light.
Thank you. Because this one just says hell, and I went, oh, this sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's just called hell.
This one is no game.
Okay. I think hell is their normal life, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think hell was their practical normal lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, normal life is hell for them.
Yeah. That's why they're going back to escape it, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next game would be the Dalgona cookies.
Oh yeah.
Episode is called The Man with the Umbrella.